Hello again, everybody. You must be tired of the sound of my voice. I'm tired of speaking like this because this is just absolutely doing my head in. I can't believe how evil and despicable and disgusting and pathetic and just parasitic our government is. You know, it's not enough that they created major issues in the past, haven't tried to resolve them, haven't tried to abate the victims, haven't tried to stop the productivity of it happening, have done absolutely nothing but sit there, twiddle their thumbs and probably play with themselves in front of each other for money. I wouldn't be surprised. Considering, you know, that you can, in Melbourne, you can have a brothel right next to a school. No problems. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can have your drug injective system just down the road from the church and across the road from the hospital and across the road from the childcare centre. Yes, no, it's all beautiful. We're just so good people. But anyway, I wanted to find out how the UBI was being funded. This is like the third or fourth video that I've done. Yes, they're very childish. Yes, they're very amateurish. But, you know, I'm just a chick with an iPad and a big mouth and a wild curiosity and a dominant personality that wants to find out, to dig to the bottom. I don't have the best presentation, but that's up to you. You can take these things and make of it what you want. You've got the information, turn it into something spectacular. Just do a good job. Do a better job than me. But anyway, so I wanted to find out where the UBI money is coming from, because obviously they're going to get rid of the old age pension, the unemployment benefits, the any type of government pensions, whether they're old age, whether they happen to be disability pensions, whether they're veterans pensions, anything. It's all going to be removed. And it's going to be replaced with this UBI. So does that mean that some people might get a little bit more and other people will get a little bit less? I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to work. Is this going to incorporate rent assistance for people? Is it going to incorporate, other funding for their specific medical conditions that they have? Is it going to put any of those factors into consideration? I don't know. I don't think they care. It's not a matter of whether they've thought about it. I don't think they care. I don't think they give a shit. But anyway, so who's going to be funding all of this? We found out that if you get the UBI, yes, you'll have to pay tax on it. And, if you earn a high income, and they haven't devised or said how much that is probably more than what the UBI is, and that class that as a high income earner, then you don't have any benefit from it. It says you have a net zero effect. Your UBI gets given to you and you pay it straight back in the taxes. So it's a real Ponzi scheme. This UBI is a Ponzi scheme, basically. It's like the housing market. It's a Ponzi scheme. It doesn't really exist to you because you already got too much money. So we're going to give it to Peter and take it from Paul and make you get pissed off and jealous because you're paying all this money and all these dole bludgers and all these no-hopers and all these new migrants that have been unemployed and have done nothing. Have never paid 1 cent taxes to the country at all because they've only just got here. They don't even speak English. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They have no skills that we need. All of this is all going to come into play, and there is going to be social upheaval. There is going to be so much anger, frustration, hatred among people. It's going to really split society. I hope I'm wrong, but I just get this really, really weird feeling, and I'm getting squirrely in the guts, and it's not what I had for lunch today. It's looking at all this stuff. So when I looked into where UBI funding comes from, and the wealth, and because it did mention in one of the videos where they talked about they were going to have a wealth tax, and Keir Starmer in the UK, that's how I started all this. And that will be the last video I post up, is my little rant on that. So it might be a little bit incorrect with some of the information because it was the first video I did. I then went to investigate it here in Australia and I found out all this stuff. And I've been on this tirade and this roller coaster since then for about the last 2 hours. But anyway, all right. Okay, so I wanted to know where the money's coming from to pay everybody, every citizen in Australia. Whether you need the money or not, you're getting it. It's unbiased money. At the end of the year, when you aren't deemed to be, like remember in the start of the COVID days, you had to be selected, or it was your turn, your opportunity, I think is what they called it, when they first started rolling out the vaccine. It was like, when it's your opportunity, you'll be invited. They made it sound so special, that you were so privileged. No, they thought you were the people they wanted to get rid of first. because you were the old people and the vulnerable people. They tried to make out they were looking after you to make sure you kept safe. Safe from what? The sniffles. But yeah, and they gave you this toxic thing that made you not very well. Maybe made you go to heaven. But anyway, so this is the same situation here. In Australia, funding a universal basic income would likely, that word friggin' likely, involve significant tax reform. And they've been talking about tax reform. We're going to do the biggest tax reform with the elbow thlabo easy. I got the biggest tax reform because I did that special thing in my special school, in my housing commission home, and my mother, she was so sore with her arthritis that I had to rub her legs. And that's how I found Alan Joyce, and he said, oh, you did such a good job with your mother. Can you rub my legs for me, please? So I'm going to laugh. Because, you know, he has a third leg that Albert probably did rub and kiss it and whatever else. Anyways. I'm sorry, I needed a good laugh. Sorry, I keep going on about my cat. But my cat Charlie is not very well. And he's been with me for 16 years. And he's my best friend. And to watch him disintegrate to pretty much nothing. He's not in any pain. That's the only blessing there is. He's not in pain. But to see him like that, it's just doing my head in. So I've got to find distractions. And if I have to do, you know, elbow sleazy and elbow easy, because he's very sleazy and very easy at the same time. Don't you worry, Mr. Joyce. We can get on your Qantas Starliner Express and we can go to Lolita Island together and I will show you my skills in rubbing your legs. Sorry. Oh, God, I'm not going to put this. I'll probably take this off. But anyway, so let's go back to the things on hand. Okay, including potential introduction of a wealth tax. There it is. The deadliest words in the world. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And let's get the wealth tax. So they implement and scare everybody with these unrealised capital gains. And if they pull it back, if there's an outcry, don't be surprised if all of a sudden they get a backflip. When it gets time to put in this universal basic income, we haven't suffered enough yet, and there's not enough people here to sort of steal all the assets and wealth yet. So I'd give it maybe 2 years. In the next 2 years, it'll happen. That'll be my next question. That'll probably be my next video is when this is all going to happen. And so what they'll do is they'll rip back the unrealised capital gains and they'll introduce this wealth tax, which will be for everybody. Okay. Or they might do both, be real shonky bastards and do both and hit you with a knife, a gun, and a baseball bat at the same time. And say, I got rid of your mosquitoes for you now. Don't you worry, you'll be safe. Okay. While a UBI could be partially funded by replacing existing welfare payments and funding the income from the UBI itself. How can you fund from the UBI itself? How can a benefit, so the existing benefits, right, the welfare system that we have now, unemployment benefits, disability pensions, old age pensions, and the pension. How can they be funded by themselves? How can you derive income from those? You're giving that to people that don't work. So what, you're going to tax them on the UBI? See what I mean? It's a load of horse shit. They're going to tax everybody, everything. The tax may not be income tax. It'll be maybe something to do with the climate change, or it might be a carbon tax, or it might be a water tax. There'll be some tax that they'll implement that everybody will pay. It'll be something that's got to be, the tax that they're going to introduce will have to be so insignificant in its element itself, because it has to be everywhere, because everybody's going to get this UBI, so everybody's going to be lumped with this tax. Everybody's going to have to pay it. So it's got to be something that everybody uses, whether it's water, whether it's the energy, as in the sky, sunlight, or whether it will be air, cleaning the air, or whether it will be like the based on the food, like what they've had talking about, carbon credits that you'll have and all of that, and you'll only be allowed to eat meat 3 times a year and all that type of stuff. And it'll all be based on maybe you don't get your UBI until you take one of the medicines. So the medicines fund the government. The government funds the medicines, and the medicines fund the government. It's Peter robs from Paul to then pay Peter back again. Peter lends Paul the money, and then Paul gives the money back to Peter, all in legal terminology, because they're being altruistic to each other. That's how I think it's going to work. But anyway, Okay, that's how they get the majority. Otherwise, how can they get money when they're giving it to people that don't derive any income at all? How? How the hell are they going to do that? Okay, so it could partially be funded by that. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, and taxing the income from the UBI itself. So, or is the UBI going to be part of the wealth, that wealth fund that everybody has, that was, put aside to cover everyone's superannuation and all that type of stuff, that they were going to $3 billion or $1 trillion, whatever it is, and the government were going to borrow it to build all those houses that they've not built one from. That's deriving income? It's got interest on it. So maybe that's the money that they're talking about. I don't know. But it's not their money anyway. They've just stolen everybody's superannuation, stolen all of the money that people have, and they've borrowed it. They've just shuffled it over here. But we can't touch it because it's not our money, it's your money. The Sovereign Wealth Fund or whatever it is. No, it's not our money, it's your money, but we're just going to look after it for you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, watch that get fallen apart. But anyway, could be a key component of a broader strategy to address inequality and fund the initiative. Do you get that? Inequality. What happened to a hard day's work, a good day's pay for a hard day's work? What happened to having, pride, responsibility, commitment, honour, respect? What happened to those things? They disappeared. They don't belong anymore. Now it is the transgender this and, the this, that and other garbage, all the woke bullshit, which nobody's interested in. We've all had enough of it. Nobody wanted it. You shoved it down our throat. We've regurgitated it and we don't want it, and get rid of it. So I don't know where else they're going to get this where all this is going to come from. But inequality, just think, their terminology of inequality is not to bring the people underneath you up to your level, it's to bring you down to their level. So everybody's on the universal basic income. Everybody's paying. Don't you get it? Everybody gets it. Everybody pays tax. Everybody is taxed on it. Obviously, if you have a high income or you have a more luxurious lifestyle, you'll pay more. It's a user-based system. But anyway, funding the UBI in Australia. Tax reforms. A UBI would necessitate substantial changes to the current tax system. Hell, you're not saying nothing, but anyway, they're trying to do it, they're trying. Wealth tax, this is what we're going on about, wealth tax. A wealth tax potentially on high net worth individuals or on specific assets could be significantly revenue source. Okay, some specific assets. What would these assets be? Your family home? Your savings, your bank account, any investments you might have, maybe your business that you have, any businesses that you have or any trusts that you might be involved in, your vehicle, your wedding ring, your diamond ring, anything that you put aside for your children, anything that has any historic value, anything that has any value to it at all, they want. And this is where they're going to introduce, and this is where Alex Jones has talked about it, they're going to introduce like a wealth register, an asset register. Every asset that you have, because they want to have everything tokenized. So every asset you have is a token. You don't own it. You only are the custodian of the token. But the government owns it. And they can come and they can take that token, take the item. It's like, I suppose, like when you, what is it, when you owe somebody money, you borrow something and you give them a note. The terminology is not coming to me, but you know what I mean. IOU. You give them an IOU to say, hey, here's a little badge to say, I've got your thing, I've just borrowed it, you own it, I'm just borrowing it, so here you go, and you sign it off. They've taken possession of it, but you own it. That's what the tokenisation will be. And they're going to do that on absolutely everything. Okay, and then they're going to have increased income tax. A more progressive tax system could generate more revenue, particularly from high income owners or earners. So we all knew that, didn't we? I thought they were trying to make tax more affordable and better for everybody because the cost of living is so high. But they don't care about the cost of your living. They don't give a crap. If you haven't figured that out, they don't like you. They wish you weren't here. Okay? Because until they get all this in place and implement it all and get so much money and so much assets and so much control and so much dominance over things, they're not going to stop this. It's steamrolling and it's escalating at great speed. And they're going to continue stripping and stripping and stripping the landscape away until there's nothing but barren land left. Because they're underground, because they're all lizard people. But anyway, that's the way who cares. Okay, super profits on tax. A tax on excessive profits in certain industries could also contribute to the funding. Are they talking about mining taxes? Bitcoin, maybe? Cryptocurrency? We haven't had crypto or cryptocurrency come into any play in anywhere. Maybe your stocks and shares they're going to take from you. You know, they're only tangible objects. They're not physical objects. They're just tangible, but they can take those from you. Okay. Broadening the GST base. Expanding the goods and services tax base could generate more revenue. Yes, well, there's been talk of pushing that to, 12.5%, or pushing it to 15%, or even 25%. But the way I look at it, you get money. Say you have a job. This is more for people overseas. You get a job, you get, your tax return, you get your tax taken out of your salary each week or each month whenever you get paid. They take their money out. So whatever money is left is what you use to spend, or you save, or you pay your bills, whatever you do. But here in Australia, every item that you buy, apart from a few silly things that don't have any extra work put into them. So if you buy one apple, there's no GST on it. But if you buy the apple that's been cut into quarters, you pay GST on it. How fucked is that? And it's very, very confusing. And that's 10% at the moment. So it's a goods and services tax. In the UK, it's called the VAT, the value added tax. I don't know if theirs is picky and as fiddly as ours, but that's where Keir Starmer, they were talking about that with him, and I was talking about the similarities between Australia and the UK. They've got the same things in place, they just call them different. They have NHS, we have Medicare. They have the VAT, we have GST. It's the same stuff, it's just a different name. That's just how it works. But anyway, and here we go. Unrealised capital gains. A tax on the increased in value of assets, even if not yet sold. An inheritance tax. Wow. And they're calling them wealth taxes. Wow. So can I ask you a question? Do you think that because you may have some superannuation, that you may also have some unrealised gains on an asset that you have? Maybe some stocks that you've bought. And you've done really, really good research, and you've found that they've done spectacularly well, and they might have gained a bit of profit. But you go, no, I'm not going to sell them yet because I think there's more room to move. And I don't need the money right now, so I'm just going to leave it. Maybe you haven't had them for that long. Or one of your parents, unfortunately, or a relative has passed away and they've left you with some assets. You didn't ask for that. They've bequeathed that to you out of love and affection, and the government shouldn't get their bloody grubby hands on it. But here, they want all of it. Do you think that's fair? Would you be okay with that happening to you tomorrow, or next week, or next year? No, I wouldn't be happy to any of that, because this government does not deserve to be funded in any way, shape or form. They're incompetent, moronic, stupid, selfish, and very bad money managers. If they were a business, they would have been thrown out of it. ASIC would have shut them down. But no, we're stuck with them because Mr. Albo's lazy. Okay, UBI and the tax system. Fiscal churn, targeting. Everything's always targeting. The UBI is intended to be universal and can be effectively targeted through taxes, with those with higher incomes contributing more. How can someone with higher income be... No, they're not contributing more. You're just giving it to them and you're taking it away. In essence, funding a UBI in Australia would likely, that fucking word likely again, requires a multi-pronged approach involving significant tax reforms, including the potential introduction of a wealth tax and potentially other measures that increase income taxes and changes to existing tax concessions. Wow. Is anyone talking about this? No. Because all those people that have been paid big money and have big platforms and, do all the special... They're a bit like Donald Trump. They want to say how fantastic, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do this. You watch me, I'll do it. Yeah, I'm so strong, I'm powerful. They tried to kill me. They tried to poison me. They tried to do all this. I can do it, I'll get my fist up in the air and I'll go fight and all that crap. But, then he goes and sits down and goes, okay, show's over. What are we going to do next? No, this is really, really bad. They are trying really, really to skin us alive. That's what they're trying to do. And someone hears moronically, QUT, which is, like a state... something QU2, something of University of Technology, whatever it is, Queensland University of Technology, is a universal basic income the real answer to our cost of living? Fucking has nothing to do with the cost of living, bitch. A universal basic income is a regular, unconditional payment provided to all by the government to every citizen, regardless of income, employment, status, or wealth. Yeah, well, it's just not good. It's not good. As soon as they do this, it's almost like communism. It is. It's financial communism. FICOM. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it financial communism. This video is going to be called the introduction of financial communism in Australia. That's what I'm going to call it. But anyway, I've ranted on long enough. Please do your research. Please tell me I'm wrong with all of this, that I'm just a dumb, ditzy, silly woman who's missing the thoughts of her cat not being here, who's overcome with grief thinking about her cat not being here, and she's making silly, unwise interpretations of data. If you could please do that, I would be very eternally thankful. But anyway, I've got to go. Godspeed to all. Godspeed.
Who wants to know?
I am Henry the Red, Duke of Shale, Lord of the Northlands and leader of its peoples.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now, Jack and shit. And Jack left town.